Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I am Coach Castle, and this is the Red Pill of Resistance exercise series. In this video, we'll be covering the tricep. Now, like with every single other muscle group, there is nothing but misinformation and bullshit out there. So, this series is attempting to clear that up. The tricep is not a complicated muscle to explain, nor is it a complicated muscle to understand exactly how it works or why it works that way. In this video, I go over and explain very simply how it works most efficiently, the most efficient resistance curve, of course, the best exercises, how to perform them properly, and which exercises are not efficient, of course, because there can only be one which is most efficient or perfect. Very simple to understand. You do not need to understand all the details, you only need to understand the principles. The principles are very simple. The laws of physics apply to your human anatomy the same way that they apply to everything else. Your body is made up of levers. It's a machine and it is subject to the laws of gravity. Muscles never pull directly on weights, they pull to the levers that those muscles are attached to. It's very simple. So, let's get into it. If you're ready to take that red pill, forget everything you know about triceps, and learn the actual best way to train them. The triceps muscle is made up of three heads: the lateral head, the medial head, and the long head. The lateral head and the medial head originate on the back of the humerus. However, the long head originates on the scapula, just below the shoulder socket. Because the long head is attached to the shoulder blade, it can participate to a very small degree in the upper arm pulling downwards. The other two heads, the medius and lateral, only participate in elbow extension. The most normal and natural position for the shoulder is with the upper arm at your side. This is a position developed through countless years of evolution. It is logical to assume this is the stronger position, as well as the safest position from which to work the triceps. There are those who believe that the long head of the triceps can be emphasized by performing overhead tricep extensions. This belief relies on the unsupported theory that pre-stretching the long head of the triceps will develop that part better than an exercise which is not performed overhead. But there is absolutely no evidence of that. In fact, there is abundance of evidence that pre-stretching a loaded muscle is not more beneficial in terms of muscle growth. Overly stretching a muscle mostly increases the risk of injury, especially when a very heavy weight is being used, and you're swinging it and using momentum. Holding your upper arm next to your head is not likely to be very comfortable for your shoulder joint, even without trying to simultaneously extend the elbows with your heavy weight in your hands. Now, why do you feel pain when you do this movement? The ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve passes through a groove between the humerus and the ulna. When the arms are positioned overhead, the ulnar nerve becomes more taut or stretched. How do you select optimum direction of resistance for early phase loading, proper alignment, and opposite position loading? We're about to go over that in these next few exercises. The first one we're going to see is the flat triceps extension or skull crusher. Now here you can see, while it is typically considered a good movement, the resistance curve is poor. Also, you are unable to fully flex or engage your triceps since they are not at your sides. This particular movement could be made much more efficient, as demonstrated in a moment, by simply making it decline. Here we make it decline, but the hands are too close together and you're using a single bar. Here you're on a decline, however, you're going too fast, not focusing on the eccentric concentration of the movement, simply wildly swinging it with momentum. Here again, wild swinging with momentum, out of alignment, recruiting many muscles you're not trying to recruit. Of course, increasing the risk of injury to both your muscles and your joints, specifically your shoulder joint. Here, your elbow is out of alignment, more towards your head, recruiting your rear delts and your lats, and again, putting your shoulder at a very uncomfortable angle, straining your joints. Here, out of alignment, but the opposite direction. You would never see somebody performing it like this. It's simply silly, feels weird, even though the arm is in the natural position. Here, a bit more of a compromise. It's close to your side, almost in a natural position. We have a correct 4-second lowering of the eccentric portion, a rapid 1-second concentric or raising of the weight, always focus on quality over quantity. It means nothing if you simply bang out the reps. We're focusing on muscle growth, tearing the muscles down. Most overhead tricep exercises have a relatively good resistance curve. However, having your upper arm positioned upside alongside your head causes unnecessary shoulder and elbow strain as long as pinching the ulnar nerve, as mentioned previously. Plus, it is impossible to fully contract the triceps with the humerus in that position. They have a much higher cost of effort and risk than modified tricep pushdowns and decline dumbbell tricep extensions without providing any additional benefit. So why would you do them? Just like the biceps tendon, the triceps tendon is singular. All three triceps heads converge and become one on that tendon before crossing the elbow joint. When the tricep pulls upward on the olecranon process, it has no way of knowing the position of the hand. Changing the hand position does not alter the triceps tendon action. The same action occurs at the elbow, regardless of the hand position. Believing that the triceps will develop differently as a result of using a different hand position is just as stupid as believing that the triceps will develop better if you face west or east when you're performing your repetitions. Here we have the cable pushdown. This is a good movement, extending the elbows while the upper arms are close to one side, but the direction of resistance is again not ideal, not the most effective. What is needed here is better direction of resistance, or one that is more perpendicular with the forearm at the beginning of the range of motion and less perpendicular with the forearm at the end of the range of motion. This new direction of resistance would therefore have to originate from slightly behind the person rather than in front of them. Now, you can accomplish this a variety of ways. You can simply lean your torso forward at roughly a 30 or 40 degree angle. You could also perform the maneuver with the cables directly behind you, seated. I prefer this method because it is more stable, allowing you to focus on keeping your arms in the correct position and pulling through. Here you can see very clearly the cables are set at a 45 degree angle. My upper back is stable, my arms are stable, and I'm pulling through. This, in my opinion, is the optimum tricep exercise. Secondary would be the decline skull crusher, or tricep extension performed on a decline bench, as was covered earlier. And of course, follow all of the principles of not using momentum or swinging, observe your time under tension, and guys, train safely.